What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Ideal Offseason. This is a series where I get to put the GM cap on for a little bit and help an NBA team navigate through the offseason in the most ideal fashion possible. Every team is different in this series. We try to be realistic with it. If I'm rebuilding the Spurs, it's about making them marginally better to help them be better positioned for next season, right? Try to develop Wemby. If it's the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm obviously trying to win a championship next year. So it's different for every single team. This is a really interesting team we get to do today in the Oklahoma City Thunder. And again, we try to make this as realistic as possible, but I'm sure you're not going to agree with everything I say, and that's okay. Leave me a comment below telling me what you think that they should do. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, like, leave the comments. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel so far, and I intend to keep on doing so. But without further ado, y'all, let's get into the video. Y'all don't want to hear me talk anymore. So we're back here on the Ideal Offseason spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet that I put together. If you guys have already been watching this series, you already know what I'm going to say. I built this to kind of just help demonstrate my ideas and talk about the offseason. If you guys want access to this spreadsheet, leave me a comment in the description, or not in the description, in the comments. I can't talk today. It's Sunday. Don't worry about it. But yeah, just leave me a comment saying like, hey, I want the spreadsheet. I'll send you a link to my Discord. You shoot me a DM there and I get it to you. Yeah, this is all a big marketing scheme to get you on the Discord. You don't have to do anything once you're there. I'm just trying to get people on the Discord. Don't worry about it. But anyway, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder today who were just bounced. And you know what? Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can actually see what it is we're looking at for this one. But yeah, the Thunder got bounced yesterday. Very unfortunate, but you know what? This team exceeded all expectations this year. They're far ahead of schedule. This team is probably in like the best position out of any team in the NBA. Obviously, the teams that are competing for a championship right now, you could probably argue are in the best position, but like long-term success, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've got an MVP candidate. You've got rising young stars scattered across the roster. You have draft picks galore. You guys will notice, I just stopped at 2028 because there's just so many picks I couldn't fit it all on here, and I didn't feel like making the spreadsheet bigger. Just know that below this, there would be like 15 more picks. It's absolutely nuts, all the draft capital that this team has. And this team also has cap flexibility right now, which is something that I want to try to take advantage of this offseason. And normally, when you have a young team, I don't want to like accelerate the process too much, right? But these guys are proving that like, hey, we're ready to start winning some games right now. They've got their young pieces already, so it's time to start using some of this capital and maybe some of these unnecessary players that don't fit, that are kind of promising, in a way to try to bring in some more talent, right? Because it's a lot harder to like get yourself into luxury tax like down the line. So what I want to do is spend a little bit of money this offseason, not a ton, because I've got an idea, just a little bit, and try to marginally improve this team in one particular position that I'm looking at on here, and we'll get into it. But so we're going to try to improve the team via trade, probably going to still use the draft pick this year, and otherwise, like, there's not a ton else that we got to do with this team. Like, this team's done a lot of the work for us already, and they're well managed. Like, let's be honest, this team doesn't really need me to help them. But yeah, anyway, let's dive a little bit more into the situation. So we got $39 million in cap space already, which is pretty crazy considering we only have 3 roster spots left to fill, and that's because all these guys are on rookie contracts except for Shea here, and that's awesome, right? Like, this team isn't very expensive and they're very successful. That's super cool. All the draft picks here, right? Like, we've got all these picks to use and a ton more, like I mentioned, right, that I just didn't even have room for. If we take a look at the roster itself, right, so we got Shea at the top. He's got his contract. Lou Dort's got a very appropriate contract for how good he is. Chet Holmgren has got a couple years left on his. He's got a team option. I can tell you right now, we're going to be accepting that team option. Josh Giddey, also a team option. And now Josh Giddey, let's talk about Josh Giddey for just a second. Obviously, Josh Giddey got benched in the playoffs. I think Josh Giddey is a very, very good basketball player. I think he's very smart. I think he's very nice defensively. His shot looks like it's improving, even though he's had some cold streaks and stuff like that. It seems like he's getting a little more confident. But like, his type of smarts and just like basketball instincts are incredibly hard to find, especially in like a 6'8" point guard body. What we're going to explore today is he the right fit with this group, though? You know, as long as you have Shea, he's going to have the ball most of the time. And is it best for Shea's game and for Giddey's own development to be playing with a guy like that? I can almost guarantee you no, right? Especially Josh Giddey's had like a lot of controversy in this last year and everything, right? And from everything that I've heard, and I can't speculate on it too much, it seems like it's been resolved. It seems like just a gross kind of situation that took place, and I don't want to try to undermine that or anything because I just don't know what happened at the end of the day. I can only tell what my people have told me who are closer to the situation. But maybe it's best that Josh Giddey just gets a fresh start somewhere in a place where he can actually go develop and become the player that he really could be, because I really do think he's a really good player and a starting point guard in this NBA. But for the time being, we're just accepting his team option, right? We got Kenny Hustle, who, he's making a decent amount of money and doesn't really play. Like, maybe we can turn his contract into something. Worst case scenario, he is a great hustle guy that doesn't cost a ton of money. Cason Wallace, rookie for this year, backup point guard, had a phenomenal rookie season. Even though he didn't light it up on the stat sheets, I wanted to use a TJ McConnell reference, but I can't do that anymore because TJ McConnell's putting up stats. Like, that was Cason Wallace this year. His defense, especially just like getting hands on ball when guys are like going to the rim, is insane. Like, he was really good without the basketball, which is hard for a point guard coming into the NBA most times. Like, the Thunder just do such a good job of vetting their talent to be like, yep, nope, this guy's going to be just fine if we bring him in and we just take the ball away from him. And man, he was awesome with it. So shout out Cason Wallace. We got Ousmane Dieng, which I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I've watched a ton of film on Dieng. I think he's a really, really nice player. He just hasn't really had a chance to shine yet because the team is so deep. He's been killing it in the G League for them this year. I really hope that we get a chance to show him off a little bit because he's got a little bit of size. He can handle a little bit. He can shoot a little bit. Those are all the things that this team loves and needs. And any more size we can add to this team, I think is great. So we are definitely going to be picking up Dieng's option. We got Jalen Williams, aka J-Dub, here, who had a phenomenal season. I think he's a future all-star. We're gonna pick his option up right away. Isaiah Joe, another year of Isaiah Joe for only $2 million. Sign me up. Lethal shooter. Like, I think if he was on another team, people would be like, wow, this is just such a promising young player or whatever, but he's just hidden in this deep vault of OKC good young players. I absolutely love Isaiah Joe's game, keeping him around. Aaron Wiggins, incredibly impressed by him these playoffs. His skill set fits right in with this team. I loved the development we saw out of him. Aaron Wiggins probably going to be playing that backup 3 role for us right now. Really cool with it. And then Lindy Waters the third. You guys might not have seen him play much this year because he didn't get a ton of tick. But in his limited action, he shot like 43% from 3 or something like that. And it's like, might as well keep him around for continuity purposes. Someone goes down in Isaiah Joe. Maybe we throw him in and find out he's really good too. Why not? I have no reason not to bring him back, right? He was good in the minutes we gave him. So let's keep him around. Let's reward the effort and we'll bring him back. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with 3 roster spots. Like I mentioned before, we've got an interesting fit in Josh Giddey, to say the least. And now, I don't think that the Thunder have to trade Josh Giddey because Josh Giddey, like I said, is a good basketball player. I'm totally fine with it. I think, though, that this is a good offseason to explore it. And that's because we have the cap space to bring in a good player for him, because Josh Giddey's a good young player and he's going to have a decent amount of trade value, especially with the picks that we have at our disposal. We can go get another good young player or just a nice talented player that kind of fits this team, bring them in, and also just give Josh Giddey the freedom to just go become the basketball player he's supposed to. I'm sure he likes being in OKC and everything, but it's probably best for Shea and the rest of this group if we get like another guard that fits the squad a little bit better, as well as just letting him develop, right? But without further ado, let's just start talking about it, right? So we're back here on Fanspo. For those of you that don't know, Fanspo is this really cool tool that we can do a bunch of different things with, like trade simulators and like draft simulators and stuff to help keep this series as realistic as possible. I just think it's a really cool website. You guys should check it out at some point. And so if we're exploring a Josh Giddey trade, there's a particular player that I think would be really interesting. He's on the Brooklyn Nets, and it's Mikal Bridges. I know you guys are all familiar with Mikal Bridges, phenomenal basketball player, ultimate 3-and-D guy, like never gets hurt type of dude, really solid locker room guy from everything that my people have told me, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a pretty close connection to the Brooklyn Nets, we'll just put it that way, but great basketball player, right? Like we kind of figured that he would take a step into that all-star tier this year, and he didn't really, which was pretty shocking to me actually. And I don't know if that's just the Nets roster was built a little strange or what, or maybe he's just not a star player. Maybe he's not, and that's okay, right? Like maybe he's a phenomenal like second, third option on a team like he was for the Phoenix Suns on that championship run that they kind of went on. But you know what? That's fine. We got other stars on this team. If he wants to be the third fiddle, maybe even fourth, depending on where Chet goes, that's totally fine. He is a phenomenal option then. He also doesn't cost like a ton of money, $23 million, and we still get 2 seasons out of him. And here's the best thing. The Nets are in this position where they're like tragically just like not great, and they don't have like a young player that they're developing or anything. They were kind of hoping Ben Simmons would be. Ben Simmons looks like he might just never play basketball again, and that breaks my heart. I loved watching Ben Simmons play basketball. But it's like, okay, we can give you a 21-year-old lottery pick from just a couple years ago to start at your point guard. I know you guys got Schroeder. Schroeder's going to be like, damn it, I wanted to play starting point guard. Why do you keep doing this to me? And Schroeder's a great option. But you got to start looking at the future. How many former lottery picks are just like up for grabs right now, right? And they're not going anywhere right now. They want to save a little bit of money. Maybe they even want a little more draft capital because they're not doing like bad by any means on draft capital, but they could do better, especially as they're trying to enter a rebuild and they don't control like their own picks, right? And they're going to be bad, so they need other people's picks. So let's explore what this trade would look like. Obviously, it starts off with Giddey and Mikal Bridges looking like that, right? Okay, what does this look like if we just try this trade? I bet you, yeah, okay, it's a success already, right? Mikal Bridges comes over to the Thunder, Josh Giddey over to the Nets. Absolutely awesome. That's not good enough, right? They're going to need more from Mikal Bridges. What else can we offer them? What else do they need on this team? Well, I'm sure they'd like other young players and everything. I'm not sure we exactly have one that they'd really want, because like the only one that I'm really willing to give up on this squad is probably a Lindy Waters, but like they've got Camp Thomas at that position already, and he's going to be getting a lot of burn. I don't think that really makes sense. So I feel like more so we just kind of supplement them with draft picks and kind of go at it from there. So let's think through this trade rationally for a second, because I'm trying to make this realistic. So Mikal Bridges is coming over in this trade. He's the best player in the trade, right? Well, we say, look, we're giving you the good young player here, and you're not going to be able to get that anywhere else. Okay, fair. We're also saving you a ton of money in this move. You get 2 years to explore Josh Giddey, or whatever. Is it 2 years or 1 year? I think it's 2 years. Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Okay, fair enough. You get some time to explore this player or whatever, right? Figure out if he's your point guard of the future. You can figure out what to do with an extension in him and everything. That's super cool. We are still taking the best player, though, and we're not giving you another player. So we have to probably supplement you with, I'd say, like for a 27-year-old guy that goes and gets you about 20-ish points a game. And, man, we all know how good Bridges is. You probably got to give him 2 first-round picks. They don't have to be great first-round picks, but I bet you have to give them 2. I don't want to touch this 2027 first-round pick where we get to swap with the Clippers potentially. I think that one's a bit too valuable. We could give them our 2026 first. I don't think that's such a bad idea. It's not worth the 12th pick. I want to explore the draft with somebody there. Like, we can still bring in some talent here, and there's a lot of size in this draft that I'd like to bring in as like a backup to Chet. So if we can snag somebody like that, I think that could be valuable to us. But, you know, what can we give them? We could give them the Heat lottery protected pick. What else is kind of... what are the other stipulations with this pick? All right, so it's just lottery protected in general. That's kind of interesting. So maybe we give them, because here's the thing, like Brooklyn's going to want to get in on this 2025 class, I can assume. And look, we're probably just not all that interested in drafting a ton of guys at this point. If we really need to get into the 2025 class, we can. So let's entice them with the 2025 pick. We'll keep the Heat pick because I think that there's a chance that they do fall into the lottery, right? And that we don't convey this pick. And so they're going to be like, I'm not so sure about that, right? We can give them the Sixers pick. The Sixers are going to find a way to be competitive this next year. I can almost guarantee that. So let's go into our picks here. We'll give you this 2025 Sixers pick, unprotected. We're going to trade that over to the Nets. And then what else do we want to give them here? What about our just like 2026 pick then? I feel pretty good about that. Like, we're going to be competitive. We're going to be good. Presumably neither of those will be great first round picks, would be my presumption. So I feel okay with getting rid of those 2 picks in order to go and get Bridges. So we add that one to the deal, we try the trade, and there we go. Phenomenal. So let's recap this, right? They get Josh Giddey, hopefully their point guard of the future of everything. They get 2 solid first-round picks. Who knows who's going to be willing to give up all of those to get Bridges? The only other team that comes to mind is maybe Memphis that would really try to go in and get him. And maybe they'll throw like their lottery pick this year at him, in which case we can probably outbid them if we need to, right? And we can make things a little more interesting just because we have the most resources in the NBA. But for the time being, I'm going to say that this is the trade that went down. I just think the prospect of them already having Giddey is going to be really interesting to them in general. So we're going to work under the assumption that this is the trade that took place. Josh Giddey now becomes Mikal Bridges, and that is awesome. That is totally awesome. We'll slide him in at the 2 for now, and I think this already just drastically like improves the team. Now all of a sudden, you've got a very reliable shooter, another guy that loves to like take a couple steps after a catch and go attack the rim, things like that. Obviously a great defender, great teammate from everything I hear. This is already a substantially better team than last year. You combine that with the fact that Jalen Williams is going to get better, Chet's going to get better, Shea's probably going to get better, Cason Wallace, Jang, all these dudes are getting better, right? This is absolutely awesome. I love this. I love this fit on this team. Now we got the draft. We still got the 12th overall pick that we got to use this year, and we've got the cap space to do so, to take on another lottery pick or something, so why not? Let's go see if we can't find some size to put behind Chet Holmgren, because while I like Jalen Williams, the center of Jalen Williams, I think it'd be nice to have more of a traditional rebounder on this team, and I think that's something we're missing. That's something you definitely see Chet struggle with at times against like Dallas and their big men. So if we can find a guy like that we can start to develop, I think that'd be really beneficial to us, because we're not probably going to find it in like the market this year. Alrighty, so this is Fanspo's mock draft simulator. If you guys haven't been watching the series up to this point, which you should go watch all the other videos, especially the earlier ones. It's probably cool to see how these like videos have like evolved or whatever. But this just helps us add a level of like realism to the series by me just not being able to be like, oh hey, this is how the draft would go or whatever, and this guy would get picked here. We don't know, so we're gonna let the AI kind of develop or determine who's gonna be available for us at the 12th pick. And I see Donovan Clingan. Oh, if Donovan Clingan would have been available, that would have been absolutely nuts. But what do we got available to us? Kyle Filipowski. That's not exactly what I had in mind. Like, I see Yves Missy, I see Kel Ware. That's kind of interesting. Do we think that we could trade back somehow? Can we acquire more draft capital or something by moving back and taking someone else? I haven't done that in this series up to this point. Who would want to move up in the draft is my question. Let's take a look at who might want to move up. Like, I'd be cool moving down to like 17, 18 or something like that. Like, do the Miami Heat really like Collier? I don't know about that. I don't want to move anywhere past probably 19. Does Toronto want a higher draft pick maybe? What does Toronto look like for its resources? They also have the 31st pick, which is interesting. Would they be willing to give up both of those to move up to 12 to go get their guy? Which, that's the thing with this draft class. Like, I don't know how many people are moving up to go find a guy here, especially with guys like Connect and stuff off the board who feel a little bit more of a sure thing. So, I don't know. We could just, look, the Thunder just surprise everybody every single year with who they pick, and we go, why'd they pick that guy, right? And then it always ends up being a good fit. So, like, we could just go and get, like, Missy or something like that, or a Kel Ware. Like, those are totally fine options, because I don't think Filipowski fits this team necessarily. Like, I want somebody a little more athletic at that position than he is. But, I don't know. Let's explore the trade a little bit more. You know who's not shy about moving up in the draft to go get people are like the New Orleans Pelicans. Like, I could totally see them doing something like that. Like, would we move back to like 21 to still try and go get like a center or something like that? Like, what other picks do they have? They don't really have any like kind of low value first round picks or like any players that would be interesting to me. So I think that one's kind of dead in the water. I think I got to look somewhere else. No, I'm just not seeing anything that makes a ton of sense. I feel like we're just going to have to use this pick and just take the guy we want. We have the ability to do that on this team. And like, okay, so like I like Kel Ware a ton. I really think he's going to be a good basketball player. I feel like I've just taken him so much in this series, and that's fine. Like, that's not a problem or whatever. Like, if I think he's that good, I should take him, right? If I'm the GM here. I'm just looking around to see if there's anybody else that would make sense. Like, maybe we could be the team that takes I don't know how to say his name completely. I think it's Salyun. I think that's how you say it. Maybe we're the team that gives him a chance and gives him some time to develop. But I don't know. Doesn't this just feel like a Thunder pick, though? Extremely high upside guy that probably just needs time to develop because he's so young. For those of you that don't know, pretty good three-point shooter, a really good athlete, like really good all-around mechanics. Looks like he's going to be a good defender. He just looks really raw right now, though. So you know what? I don't even care. I'm gonna take Saliun here, and I'll go find a backup big for us somewhere in free agency. I'll make it happen. Let's go with the potential for now because we can. The 12th pick would make this much money. We get him for 4 seasons, and we are gonna put him we're gonna throw him there for now, right? Like there's a bunch of other guys in front of him, but he's gonna get time and the appropriate staff to actually develop him because at the Oklahoma City Thunder, they develop talent well. It's what they do. We think that he could be a nice star player for us one day, and maybe long term that'll help us get Jalen Williams over to the small forward or something, and maybe he's a power forward. I don't know. But the point is we get a developmental project. But that was the only draft pick that we had this year. We've got 2 roster spots left that I'm going to try to find some veteran players for. And there's 2 positions that we probably got to do it at. My voice is cracking a lot. I'm starting to lose my voice. I've been recording a lot of videos as of late. And I actually didn't plan on recording this one today just because I was like, it's Sunday. Let me give myself like a day to like go work on my other business stuff or whatever. But you know what? I just had to do it today. Plus there's 2 game 7s. And so there'll be 2 other teams eliminated today. But anyway, I want to probably tackle the point guard position because I think you should always have at least 3 point guards on the roster. I'd like to get another sizable wing, but Bridges here can satisfy that for us, so I feel fine about that, and I feel like Jalen Williams and Jeng could also slide there if needed, but I want to go try and find like a rebounding center to fit on the roster, and I'm not going to lie, when I go over to like free agency and I look at our guys, Olivier, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, Olivier Sarr, Alex Sarr's brother, I actually like him, and I think that somebody should give him a chance in the NBA. I just don't think it makes sense for us to bring him back this year, so I'm not going to do it. I don't think I'm going to touch Gordon Hayward necessarily either. I just don't think it worked. I don't think he was a great fit. He kind of just looked like he was just kind of giving up the ball the whole time. He didn't know what to do without the ball, so probably not going to touch that. Probably not going to bring Muscala back as much as I like him. But we're gonna find a center. So we move on over to centers, and there's a couple people that I think about for this position, and the number 1 guy is Andre Drummond. Doesn't he just feel like the missing piece on this Thunder team a little bit? Like just a guy that can come in, compete on a really good basketball team. We can actually pay him a bit of money too because he's been on a minimum contract or whatever. Like we can give him 2 years on like a decent salary that he's not going to probably get anywhere else, and we can probably get him playing time over J-Dub here. So I'm going to say that we're going after Andre Drummond, and this is what we'll tell him. You guys have seen me do contracts like this a lot. I'm going to say we'll give you $6 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 600,000. Let me give him one more so that he doesn't just laugh at me right out loud. $6 million. We're giving you 2 years, but there's a player option on the 2nd year. If you outplay your contract and you want to go somewhere else, that's fine. We've hopefully found someone else to replace you by that point. That's totally fine. But for now, you actually get a decent enough salary. You can come in, you can play on a winning team right away, which he wants to do. And it's just a year to go prove yourself, right? Go prove yourself and go get a bigger contract elsewhere if you want to. So that's what I'm thinking. We got Andre Drummond on the team. I'm going to move him into the backup center role for now. I think he would play over Jalen Williams most likely. So now let's just go find a reserve point guard to kind of round out this roster. I'd like to find a veteran to bring on this team too, like Pat Bev. Pat Bev would be so cool on this team, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he just be the perfect guy to bring in on this team? I feel like he's going to go to a little bit higher of like a contender, if you will. That's what I think would happen, but I'm just curious kind of who else is out there for us to go get. Because this person isn't really going to need to play a whole bunch of minutes, most likely, because Case and Wallace most likely will. Like, we could bring Russell Westbrook back. That'd be really, really cool and a phenomenal story, but I don't see us needing him and he's going to want to play. So I'm sorry, I just don't think it's going to happen. You know what? It's never an ideal offseason if we don't bring Chris Dunn, and isn't Chris Dunn just like the perfect option for it? We can even give him a decent contract because he had a decent season last year. We don't even have to give him the minimum if we don't want to, and plus we can use that as like a trade piece then. So let's do Chris Dunn. Let's say we're giving him, because we've got the cap space, we're giving him $4 million for this year, for a 1-year deal or whatever. Perfect. Look at that. Chris Dunn on the squad. Lovely, lovely, lovely. We got a nice defensive point guard to kind of round things out. what have we done now? Let's recap everything. We didn't do a bunch, honestly, because this team is just in good position. We used our draft pick. Obviously, we brought in Salyun, which, again, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know. I apologize. He's going to be another project for us, right? We always got to have a project on this team. He's our new project. We brought in Mikal Bridges. Big addition for us. Josh Giddey is in a better place now. We bring in Bridges, who's a better fit for guys like Shea and Dort and Williams and Chet. Just a better fit, and it's just a talent upgrade in general. We gave up a couple draft picks to do that. That's totally fine. I think this helps the team get better right away, but we're still not even into the luxury tax with this team, which is phenomenal. We're going to let guys like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins develop even further. Hopefully, Jang finds his way into the roster. We've got Andre Drummond to help us with rebounding as needed, and we brought in like guys like Chris Dunn to kind of just be like solid vets on the team because we need guys like that. But most importantly, we're just going to let this team keep growing, right? We're going to let it keep growing. We're bringing in good-minded talent to keep around everybody. I think that this is a good one. This is a pretty easy ideal offseason, y'all. I don't think it's that complicated, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Please let me know what you think of the final result of this team. And if you just skipped to the end of this video because you want to see the end result, what's wrong with you? Why has TikTok rotted your mind? Let's actually talk about it and look at the process, dum-dums. But no, anyway, thank you guys for watching as always. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys later.